Hey guys, Leah and Michelle, it is Palm Sunday, April 9th, 2017. I'm sorry we've been off for a couple of days, but we're back and we have so much to cover. You have not been off from researching stories, just from sending them to you.
I wanted to give just a little introduction to let you know that Michelle and I actually we love being outside.
Yes.
And we love working in our garden.
My nose is burnt.
We
got
just
some sun today.
We just want to live our lives. But the truth of it is that we're living in a great time.
Great
and
is one word
globalists are coming down. Okay, no, I'm very
They're toppling
excited.
like giants. Yes.
Yes, this is a very exciting time to live in. But every single day, you guys, every move and counter move, we can't. I mean, it's great. We have to spend time with our family. We've got to get things done. But I really just want to make bread and things like that. And then the next thing I know, there's a coup happening with Donald Trump, and we've got to be on the offense. And so for most of you, I recognize you do not have time to research and put these things together. And so that's why we're bringing these things to you. We work from home. We walk dogs. We can walk dogs and flip through stories at the same time. So 45 minutes of stories and a 45-minute walk. We can look through our phone and sit with our pigs. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do that our lifestyle allows us to be able to do two things at one time. We
can go without sleep. We can skip showers.
Yeah.
We can do those things too. We can
play videos in the background. So there's a lot of things we can do to try to bring
and we do.
So you have a question.
Oh yeah, let me bring that up.
From a viewer. Go ahead.
Okay, so listen, I think a lot of you have had the same exact question, and so I don't blame you. I think this is a really pertinent question, which is why I wanted to bring it to you. Hello to you lovely sisters. I listened to your broadcast on the recent events happening in Syria. Much as I agree with you on many points you raised, however, there is one important observation. You didn't offer any suggestions on how the terrible, brutal war in Syria could be brought to an end. Every family in that country has lost a member. The war has lasted more than the Second World War. The United Nations have very seriously fooled themselves on this matter. My general conclusion is that you two do not support Donald Trump taking further military action. Please offer your opinion while we all wait to hear from you. Cheers and regards, Ayulo from Nigeria. Hope I got your name correct.
Okay, so the first thing we should do is actually listen to the Syrian people themselves. What do they want to see happen within their country?
Yeah.
And Representative Tulsi Gabbard, she has gone to Syria and talked to Syrians.
Can you give a backstory on her? Because it's very interesting so you can understand
right.
who
She's
she
a
is
Democratic congresswoman from Hawaii. And she has not towed the party line with regime change, with Assad. She's actually come out in full support of Donald Trump. And when he was elected, she was one of the first people that Donald Trump sat down with so that he could hear her view on this, which is why
her going there is so important to take a look at.
Exactly. And what I was so excited about, and I'm still excited about, is the fact that we can think clearly and cross party lines.
Yes.
Right? And so the fact that Donald Trump brought her in on this issue that he felt strongly about, that we feel strongly about,
right.
I want to take you to just a piece of her video that she made when she talked to a group of Syrian girls, women who were going to college and where they saw their future.
Wow, you're the big sister. Are you in school or?
No, university.
University. What are you studying?
Civil engineering.
Civil engineering, architecture. These women are in school right now, going to school under Assad.
That's it is back to old days, to peace.
What they're saying is we want to get back to old days, to peace.
Happy?
Yes, happy.
A couple of things, because I don't have time to share this whole video with you.
I want to bring it up.
Is that these young women said where they are at right now, they used to be scared. They're not scared anymore. Their desire is for peace. And that under Assad, one of the cool things that they said was that They were a multicultural society. They said you could see Chinese going down the roads, Americans going down the road, Christian going down the road, that they felt that Syria was such a very special country in the Middle East. And then the rebels.
You think
Yes.
it's possible?
Yes, true. Possible.
Yeah, it will happen.
Do you think peace is possible? Yes, it will.
To make it
Should.
again.
Should to happen.
Yes.
And it should happen.
Because that's good for all people.
It's good for all people.
Everyone love to stay in peace, without war,
Without war.
It's comfortable.
It's comfortable.
After 4 years, just wait. Wait us.
And you finish university?
Yeah.
Aww.
Yes.
When they finish university, they're going to make a change.
Syria, just for...
I've never been to Syria, but I've been very worried about
She asked, why did you
the war
come?
Yeah.
here. And I have been fighting to get the U.S. and other countries to stop the war, to stop any support of terrorist groups who are here in Syria, and to help work towards peace. So I wanted to come and see and hear for myself your voices. Yes. Because many people in America have no idea
About what happened.
about what is happening
I had
and
goosebumps.
who are the Syrian people.
I share my stories in Instagram.
Good.
She shares her story on Instagram.
Us too. We
Oh,
also.
So I will follow.
Yeah.
You don't feel scared here? No. This,
I'm not scared of you guys. Are you gonna hurt me? Yeah, see? Are you scared here?
no. How about now?
And just got used to it.
In the beginning?
Yeah, in the beginning we felt so scared. But now it's
What changed? Why did you stop? Why did you stop being scared?
شو اللي تغير؟ ليش
we just
بطلتوا؟
want to live and study and yeah. We will make something different and we will really change the world. I think so. And the Syria, and we will start with Syria, inshallah. And we can put ourselves in a box. We can look up this box and see the light.
What would you like to tell the American people?
We love
your
American
future is.
people.
Oh, thank you.
Come to Syria, please.
There you go.
I want to see your faces here because I love American people.
Aren't they the cutest?
I would say first Syria is amazing,
Syria is amazing.
really
Really.
place of the world, and the people here have a lovely heart, and we love all people in all the world,
We love all people
and
in
we
all the
don't
worlds.
hurt anyone.
We don't
So
hurt anyone.
we don't want to anyone hurt us.
We don't want anyone to hurt us.
And the war in here, it will stop in some days. We love peace and we hope to see that soon in Syria. And we don't want to see any country with a damage or war because it's so difficult, and we just stay in peace.
Yeah.
Nothing
That's
else.
what we want, the same thing. We all want to.
So, in her going to Syria, the message that she brought back was that the Syrian people back Assad against the rebels, and somehow our government is backing the rebels against Assad. This is madness. This is what has caused the war to continue. We caused death in Syria.
Because we funded the rebels.
$1 billion a year. I watched another girl say that she was taken outside by the rebels and raped. These rebels are not good people. And when you take out Assad, who is going to take his place? And why does it look like Assad is bombing people? Because the rebels go in and they bring food and they bring clothes. I mean, the people were starving. And so they bring the people in and they bring the children in. And so when Assad goes to bomb the rebels, the kids are there. Have you not learned anything from the Vietnam War when they would bring children in front of themselves? Some of these rebels bring children in front and use them as shields. That's what ISIS does. And so you cannot make a difference between ISIS and Al-Qaeda. When I was listening to Representative Goddard say, we are funding radical Islamists trying to take out Assad. And
it's mad.
Why is it that we are allowed casualties of war?
Right.
But Assad is not. Do you know how many children our bombs have killed across the globe? Do you even know? We are warmongers. That is what we want to stop. And that's where my passion is. I'm so upset because Donald Trump, he killed 6 people. And why? This was his first 6 people to kill. You know, on his watch with those missiles. And now he has blood on his hands. And don't tell, if you say to me, Leah, Assad deserved it, we didn't kill Assad.
Right.
If you say the whole Syrian army deserves it because they're in Assad's army, that's insanity. That's insanity. They aren't ISIS. They aren't blowing people up. Okay? Russia is working with Assad to take out ISIS. Is Assad great? No. Are his little bombs blowing up kids? Yeah. But guess what? Our bombs blow up kids. Our bombs kill babies. And they have. 1 million people died in Iraq, you guys. 1 million people. Babies. Children. And so that's what we have to... And so, here's the thing. When I listen to Donald Trump, I want you to listen to this clip real quick. This is an older video.
Desire to promote stability all over, and strength in our land. This destructive cycle of intervention and chaos must finally, folks, come to an end.
This destructive cycle of intervention and chaos must come to an end. Okay, and so I can't tell you an answer. I can't tell you the answer to what is going to stop Muslims from chopping up women and children in a church in Africa. Jesus is the answer. That's what I do know.
And that's what I wanted to get back to because somehow we didn't even answer the question yet.
Well, I felt like listening to them. That was I was letting these Syrian women tell their story.
Right.
And then I have another Syrian girl that I'm going to bring to you.
Right.
For she has answers as well.
I'm not sure how many of you have seen the video that is going around with the CNN interview from the guy that had been a victim of the 2013 Syrian bombing.
Right.
And it kind of backfired on them because at the end he says, listen, we don't need you to take us into your country. We want you to help us where we are at.
Right.
Now, when he says that, he's not saying, please help radical Islamic terrorists and please help the rebels.
Right.
That's not what he is saying. Okay, so you guys have to understand that there is a difference between helping people and supporting the people versus doing an intervention that just causes chaos. Because as America, everybody wants to believe that America is the big savior of the entire world.
Right.
And unfortunately, and I know nobody likes this line, and I'm sorry, but it's just true. We can't go and save everybody. America, what is your plan for stopping all wars all over the world? I don't have one.
Well, let's listen to. I want to finish this interview that with CNN and Representative Gabbard here.
Welcome back to Lead. That was President-elect Donald Trump on Tuesday night vowing to scale back U.S. intervention overseas, all part of his America First policy. Joining me now to talk about this and more, Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat of Hawaii, I guess you say. She serves on the Armed Services and Foreign Affairs Committee. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Jake. Always good to see you.
So let me ask you a question. Do you agree with Donald Trump's vision of America First when it comes to foreign policy?
I'm glad to hear him talking about ending our country's interventionist regime change war policies. As you know, this is something that I've been talking about for years, that we need to stop the destruction that's been caused by our country, continuously getting involved in these counterproductive regime change wars that not only end up strengthening our enemy in groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, but they actually end up causing more suffering for the people in these countries where we are intervening, as in Syria now.
I know you feel that way about Syria and Libya and Iraq. Do you feel that way about Afghanistan?
Afghanistan's a little bit of a different situation, but yes, essentially.
You met with Donald Trump 2 weeks after he was elected. There was some speculation that he might offer you a cabinet position or some sort of position. Were you hoping to work in the Trump administration?
I love my job. The people of Hawaii chose to rehire me again in November, and I look forward to continuing to work for them. My goal in going there, in receiving the invitation to speak to President-elect Trump, was to speak specifically about the situation in Syria, the dangerous consequences of escalating the regime change war that the United States is fueling there, along with countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Turkey, escalating that through a so-called no-fly zone or safe zone, and urging him to end our regime change war there, to stop funding, both directly and indirectly, groups that are working with Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and to stop funneling those dollars and...
Our dollars fund groups like Al-Qaeda.
Weapons and other assistance through these other countries like Saudi Arabia, who are directly supporting these terrorist groups, who are supposed to be our enemy, who we're supposed to be fighting to defeat.
And tell me about legislation. You have a bill that you introduced today that would address loopholes you say have allowed American taxpayer dollars to fund terror groups such as Al-Qaeda and ISIS in Syria. Are you really suggesting that the U.S. government is funding these terrorist groups?
I'm not only suggesting it. This is the reality that we're living in. And
not directly,
most Americans, you know, if you or I were to go and provide money, weapons, or support or whatever to a group like Al-Qaeda or ISIS, we would immediately be thrown in jail. However, the U.S. government has been providing money, weapons, intel assistance, and other types of support through the CIA directly to these groups that are working with and are affiliated with Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
So you're saying the CIA is giving money to groups in Syria, and those groups are working with al-Nusra and ISIS?
There have been numerous reports from the New York Times to the Wall Street Journal and other news outlets who have declared that these rebel groups have formed these battlefield alliances with Al-Qaeda, that essentially these Al-Qaeda groups are in charge of every single rebel group on the ground fighting in Syria.
The Al-Qaeda groups are in charge of every single rebel group. So if you take Assad out and the rebels gain power, you are literally giving the country over to Al-Qaeda.
To overthrow the Syrian government.
And the U.S. government says that they vet the groups that they give money to very, very closely. And that you're wrong. And there are not alliances between groups that the American taxpayers fund and these other groups. Obviously, they all are fighting Assad.
I beg to differ. Evidence has shown time and time again that is not the case, that we are both directly...
Raise your hand if you believe anything that comes out of Tapper's mouth. No hands. Good.
And indirectly supporting these groups who are allied with, are partnered with Al-Qaeda and ISIS in working to overthrow the Syrian government of Assad. And we've also been providing that support through countries like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Qatar to do that.
Quickly before you go, I know that there's some of your colleagues, Democrats, have expressed concern about too many retired generals being in the Trump cabinet. You have the National Security Advisor, General Flynn, and then also he's
who's
talked
no
to
longer there
General
anymore
Mattis,
for a reason.
And General Kelly at the Pentagon and Homeland Security. Do you share their concerns, or do you disagree?
I don't share their concerns. In fact, as a veteran and as someone who's still serving in the Hawaii Army National Guard, I find it pretty offensive for people to outright discriminate against veterans. Here you have generals who have literally spent their whole lives serving our country, putting service before self, putting their lives on the line to defend democracy, and yet people are criticizing them and discriminating against them, saying just because you served as a general previously, you were disqualified.
So you see that line up there? The ones the globalists had to get out was General Flynn, and we're going to cover that.
From serving in a high position of leadership in our government. These people arguably have put far more on the line and are far more deeply personally committed to upholding and protecting our democracy.
Okay, so Tulsi Gabbard, that was her after Donald Trump was elected. So now I want to take you to on Tucker Carlson, where she explains why she was not for this strike.
We just said one of the few lawmakers who isn't is Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, a Democrat, who criticized the escalation as reckless and warned it could cause a much broader war. She joins us tonight from Hawaii. Congresswoman, thanks for coming on. So,
Tucker.
You have heard media outlets that probably support you generally describe people who have qualms about what happened last night as bigots. Do you think that's a fair characterization?
We, as the American people, should be concerned when any president of the United States launches an illegal and unconstitutional military strike against a foreign government. This is something that Congress has not authorized, and it's an escalation of a counterproductive regime change war in Syria that our country's been waging for years. First, for many years, through the CIA covertly, and now overtly through President Trump's reckless military strike last night. As you know well, Tucker, this is a war that has cost hundreds of thousands of Syrian lives. It has caused millions of Syrian refugees to flee their home, and it has strengthened these terrorist groups operating on the ground in Syria, like Al-Qaeda, al-Nusra, ISIS, and others, whose sole goal is to overthrow the Syrian government, to take over and take ownership over Syria.
So this attack, last night's mission, was predicated on the sarin gas attack earlier in the week. And everyone we've talked to on this show, people with access in some cases to classified intelligence, has said unequivocally the Assad government did this, killed these children with poison gas. Do you believe that?
It doesn't matter what I believe or not. What matters is evidence and facts. And if the Trump administration has the evidence unequivocally proving this, then share it with the American people. Share it with Congress. Come to Congress and make your case before launching an unauthorized, illegal military.
And that right there is so key.
If it's classified information, pull a couple congressmen, pull Rand Paul in, pull Tulsi in and say, this is it. You go tell your people this is good.
Right.
That's what we have to do. We can't have this shadowy, secret-y thing where the president doesn't tell our congresspeople. Our congresspeople can keep it secret, right? But you can't have just the president's, just few groups.
That's not here, you guys.
Just trust us, we know.
This is not the way that the government works, okay?
Right.
I mean, listen, and we're going to get to Jared Kushner here in a little bit, but if his son-in-law is privy to this information, you better believe the Congress people and the senators in the United States,
Jared Kushner,
thank you, should be privy to this top secret information, just so that they can at least assure the American people. You can't just have, you know, a fistful of people saying, just trust us.
Right.
We have this information.
That's not the way this works.
That's not the way the American... So that's why I want... A lot of people are like, well, Leah, Michelle, you guys don't know. Are you privy to this information? No, we're not privy to this information, but there are representatives that I trust that are also not being given access to this quote-unquote proof that they have.
If it's so incredibly classified, that this unequivocal proof,
right,
then tell our congresspeople.
Right.
Military strike against a foreign government. You know, Iraq is not so far off in our memories, especially for people like me who not only served there, but who lost friends there. And we remember when the then Bush administration, including Colin Powell and others, came to Congress and came to the United Nations presenting so-called evidence of weapons of mass destruction that later proved to be false. Right. So the disaster that is Iraq...
I supported President Bush 100,000,000%. I thought Colin Powell was the hero of heroes.
Yeah.
They said unequivocally,
we know there are weapons of mass destruction.
And we just started a war. Iraq didn't come into our country. We just started a war on the sole premise that we were going to wage war on radical Islamic terror, and that they had nuclear bombs that were headed our way.
And it wasn't.
And that was a lie.
War was predicated on so-called evidence. So I think it pays for the American people and members of Congress to be very careful, thoughtful, and skeptical, and to support, frankly, what the United Nations was working on yesterday before this military strike was launched, in immediately launching an independent international neutral investigation to gather that evidence, gather the facts, so that that can be presented.
Right. So I guess one of the differences between the early Iraq War and now is that there seems to be very little dissent on the left, or at least among mainstream liberals. They all seem for this. All the big media outlets, all the punditry on television suggests support for Donald Trump from the left. Have you noticed that? And what accounts for that, do you think?
I don't guess to know where people are coming from or why, but I really wish personally, as a veteran, that especially people in positions of power, whether they be in the media or in Congress, in Washington, to be very careful in understanding exactly what the cost of these wars are and what the consequences of a reckless action like the one President Trump took last night will result in. You know, we are seeing already how taking this action by weakening the Syrian government, the Syrian military, de facto you are strengthening and empowering these terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda in their effort, again, to take over all of Syria. We are seeing an increase in the likelihood or the possibility that we, the United States, end up in a direct military conflict with Russia, who are very closely allied with Syria and who have their own military operating in the ground there. And when you consider the consequences of that, the United States and Russia being the two nuclear powers in the world, it should be a cause of great concern for everyone.
Yeah, you'd think, except they hacked our election, so we have to. Congresswoman, thank you for joining us. We're out of time. It's really nice to see you.
It's good to see a Democratic congressperson have some common sense.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah,
it's quite refreshing.
Absolutely.
All right, and I wanted to bring you one more where she's on CNN here.
So, Congresswoman, are you saying when General Mattis, the Secretary of Defense, or General McMaster, the President's National Security Advisor, come to the President and they say, here's the evidence, we now know for sure that the Syrian regime did this, here are the various military options to respond, and he gives the okay. You say you have doubts about these generals providing that kind of proof to the President?
Well, Wolf, I remind you about what happened before we launched an invasion and occupation of Iraq. Then Colin Powell and many others within the administration came to Congress and came to the UN claiming they had the evidence proving that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. We launched a completely destructive, counterproductive war based on that intelligence, which has now, years later, proven to be wrong. We had leaders in Congress then who questioned that evidence that was presented and voted against that war because they were not convinced by the administration then, saying that they had the proof necessary to launch this war. So yes, I'm skeptical because we have to take at a premium the cost of these wars, not only on the Syrian people and the people in the Middle East, but the cost of these wars here in the United States at a time where, you know, we don't have money to build the roads that we need here in Hawaii or in other parts of the country. Why should we just blindly follow this escalation of a counterproductive regime change war, sending American taxpayer dollars on these failed regime change wars that we've seen too often in Iraq?
There are people hurting all over the world, and I know this is a talking point that people don't always like to hear. But the one thing, what does MAGA stand for?
Make America Great Again, not make Syria or make any other country
If we are attacked, then we go there. But right now, Donald Trump's sole promise, his sole promise was that we will not be the world's police and we will make America great again. And so,
and put America first.
And America first. That was the one thing he campaigned on.
Right.
And that was the one thing that we kept saying over and over. We can encourage, we can send, you know, support in any way that might aid in certain ways, but we have to first make America great again. And so, for all of us who said, yeah, Donald Trump, that's great. We don't want to go in and make a mess in Syria. We don't want to do this. And in 2013, what is really troubling is that the UN's fact-finding commission, and for what I have been able to gather, has never been able to solely prove 100% that Assad gassed his people.
From the 2013 attack that was very similar to what just happened
recently. This is the same thing again.
Right.
And Donald Trump in 2013 said we shouldn't go in.
And here's the thing, guys. You need to understand. A retaliation could have happened at any point, quite frankly.
Right.
The UN, and I'm not supportive of the UN, but like Tulsi Gabbard just said, they were literally, they were getting ready to launch an independent investigation once again to go in and fact find whether this really was Assad or not. And unfortunately, I'm going to say the Trump administration, because our official position is that Donald Trump is being misled, and we're going to bring that to you in another segment. But unfortunately, the Trump administration took such a rash action that had no foundation for the need.
Alex Jones has been saying he had the Chinese government there, and he needed to show him who's boss, and show North Korea who's boss, and show the world that America's boss. First of all, that's not the president's job, okay? And you can't use bombing one country to show another country that you're boss.
Right.
That is not liberty. That's not
the way that a country works.
You don't send missiles into one other country. If you want to show China who's boss, bomb China. Okay, if you want to show North Korea who's boss, bomb North Korea.
And why is it when we have Kim Jong-un, who we all know, right? I mean, it is unequivocal how evil that man is. Why is it that we didn't bomb that? And here's the thing, guys. We're not pushing a regime change in North Korea, and we're not trying, somebody is not trying to get a gas line pushed through Syria that,
do you know how many people die in North Korea? We brought you the story of the girl who said that her mom her friend's mom watched a Western movie, and Kim Jong-un's soldiers went out and shot him. These people are dying in North Korea. If you have any reason to bomb somebody, it's bomb North Korea. They're trying to send missiles up. So, I mean, this is not making sense. However,
but we're going to bring you the sense.
We fully back and support our president, who is Donald Trump.
But we believe the official Resistance Chicks position is that he is being misled. In effect, we're going to bring you Jared Kushner, who has received money from George Soros.
Right. So the next I want to take you to a girl in Syria who has been studying all this. She went on Alex Jones, and so we're gonna sign off here.
So sorry this was so long, but you guys, this is such a deep subject. Like I said, we've been studying this all day long, especially Leah has been, while I've been able to go outside and get a little bit of sun while working on the farm. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring the bell for notifications, and find us on Facebook and Twitter. We love you guys. God bless. It is not a conspiracy theory if it is the truth.
And I want you to know,
keep that in mind.
I'm not looking for things to justify my narrative in my head. I'm looking and I'm seeing where is justice being served.
Exactly.
I'm looking at all these different angles, and I also, in the next segment, I'll tell you, you can, if you want to get up every day and just say, you know what, I trust the president, that's fine. We're on the same team. You do that, that's fine. That's okay. But then there's the rest of us, there are half of us, we're researching this stuff because we know that Donald Trump needs us.
Yes.
To help him.
He needs to hear the voice of the people.
Right.
And if we just all of a sudden be quiet and say, yes, Donald Trump, whatever you say, we know that you're the best. That's not the way democracy works. That's not the way that our republic works. It doesn't
help Donald Trump
And it doesn't help him. He needs to know what the people are feeling and what the people want done.
Okay, I'll go to the next one.
Okay, bye.
I was cold all alone. No place for home every day. So afraid. But you go